Have you ever walked alone at night and suddenly heard a whisper behind you? A whisper that didn't sound human, didn't sound close, but felt like it was inside your ear? Or maybe you've seen something in the corner of your eye. A shape. A shadow. A person who shouldn't be there. Tonight, we explore true stories, real accounts of mysterious voices and ghostly apparitions that defy all logic. These are not legends, not stories passed down by generations. These are real-life encounters experienced by ordinary people. People like you. Turn off your lights, put on your headphones, and prepare, because once you hear these stories, you might never feel alone again. Story 1. The Whispering Corridor. The first story comes from a university in northern England, a place known not only for its academic history, but for the strange events reported long after sunset. The main science building has a fifth-floor corridor, long, narrow, and always colder than the rest of the building. Students often avoid it. Even during the day, they describe an uncomfortable pressure, as if the hallway is holding its breath. But one night, a student named Emily stayed late for her research project. Around 1:30 a.m., she finally packed her things and stepped into the fifth-floor corridor. The lights flickered as always, but that didn't bother her. She'd walked this hallway 100 times, but tonight felt different. As she walked, her footsteps echoed, sharp and hollow, until she reached the middle of the hallway. And then, the echo of her footsteps stopped. She froze. The hallway was silent, too silent. Then she heard it, a whisper, a voice, so faint she thought it was her mind playing tricks. "Go back." Emily turned around, expecting a security guard. Nothing. Just the long, empty corridor stretching into darkness. She took a step forward, and the whisper returned. But this time, it was right behind her ear. "Go back." Cold air crawled down her neck. She spun around, and the flickering lights brightened for a moment. That's when she saw it. A figure, thin, still, standing at the very end of the corridor. It had no face, just a pale, blurred shape, like a person half-formed. Emily blinked once, and the apparition took a step toward her. She didn't wait to see more. She ran, her footsteps echoing again, louder and faster, until she burst into the stairwell. The security footage from that night showed Emily sprinting out of the building. But the most disturbing part? The footage also showed a faint figure standing at the end of the corridor, long after Emily had gone. Story 2. The Man in the Radio. This story is from a family in rural Canada. They lived in a quiet town, surrounded by forest. Life was peaceful, until the night their radio began to behave strangely. One winter evening, during a heavy snowstorm, the power kept flickering in their cabin. The family sat together in the living room, wrapped in blankets, trying to stay warm. Suddenly, their old radio turned on by itself. At first, they thought it was picking up a distant broadcast, but the sound wasn't music, wasn't static, wasn't even a normal voice. It was a low, trembling whisper. "Can anyone hear me?" The family froze. The father slowly approached the radio, tapped its side, and tried to turn it off. But the knob didn't respond. "I'm cold," the voice said. "Please, let me in." The mother covered her mouth. The children stared, shaking. Then the radio crackled again, loud, violent static. Suddenly, the voice shifted. Clearer, closer, almost inside the room. "I'm outside your door." The father rushed to the window, and what he saw made his blood run ice cold. A man stood outside, half buried in the snowstorm. His head tilted unnaturally, his clothes torn, his skin pale blue. The man lifted his hand and knocked on the window. 3 slow knocks. The father stumbled backward. The radio voice spoke again, now echoing with the same rhythm as the knocks. "Let me in." But when the father turned back to the window, the man was gone. The snow outside was untouched. No footprints. No sign of anything ever being there. The family left that cabin the next morning. The radio, they smashed it to pieces. But even after they moved to a new home, sometimes, in the middle of the night, they still hear faint knocking. 3 slow knocks. Story 3. The Woman at the Bus Stop. This story comes from a taxi driver named Luis in New York City. One rainy night around 3 a.m., he was driving down an empty road when he saw a woman standing alone at a bus stop. Her dress was soaked. Her hair hung over her face. She wasn't wearing a jacket, even though it was freezing. Luis slowed down, rolled down his window, and asked, "Ma'am, do you need a ride?" The woman said nothing. She simply raised her hand and pointed straight ahead, as if urging him to keep driving. Luis hesitated, but something in her gesture felt urgent. He unlocked the passenger door, but when he looked again, the woman was suddenly inside the car, sitting in the back seat, silent, dripping wet. Luis jerked in shock. Are you okay?" The woman didn't answer. She just stared out the window. As Luis continued driving, he noticed something strange. Water was pooling on the back seat. Far more water than a soaked dress could carry, as if she had been underwater for a long time. Finally, Luis whispered, "Where should I drop you?" The woman raised her hand again and pointed ahead. After 10 minutes of silent driving, she pointed to a narrow bridge crossing a river. Luis stopped the car, turned around to ask if she lived nearby, but the back seat was empty. Water droplets led to the door, and then simply stopped. No footprints outside the car, no sign of anyone walking away. The next day, Luis told the story at a nearby diner. The owner paled and said, "You picked up the river woman." He explained that years ago, a woman had drowned near that bridge after waiting for a bus on a rainy night. Since then, drivers occasionally see her, standing alone, waiting for a ride she never reaches. Luis never drove that route again. Story 4. The Room That Speaks. In a small town in Ireland, an elderly couple bought an old farmhouse, quiet, peaceful, and surrounded by green fields. But the house had one strange detail: an upstairs bedroom with no door. The previous owner had sealed it shut with wooden boards and nails. When the couple asked why, the owner refused to answer. Months passed. Nothing unusual happened, until one night, the wife woke up to a faint sound, a whisper, coming from the sealed room. At first, she thought it was the wind, but then she heard it again. A voice, soft, fragile, almost crying. "It hurts." The next night, the voice returned. "Please, help me." The couple approached the sealed room and pressed their ears against the wooden boards. The voice grew clearer. A young girl, sobbing, begging, "Let me out, please, let me out." Terrified, the couple called a local historian. What he revealed shook them. The house once belonged to a man known for his violent temper. He had a young daughter, quiet, shy, and always covered in bruises. One night she went missing. No body was ever found. Rumors spread that the father had locked her inside the room and sealed it, leaving her to die in the darkness. The historian warned them, "Her voice has been heard for decades. She isn't asking to be freed. She's reliving the moment she died." The couple moved out within a week. The new owner? He left the door sealed. But sometimes, when the wind is quiet, visitors swear they can hear a girl sobbing upstairs. Story 5. The Voice in the Forest. A hiker in Norway named Soren loved exploring deep forests alone. One evening, just before sunset, he took a trail he had never tried before. The forest grew thicker, darker, quieter. After an hour, Soren realized he had gone too far. The sun was gone. The forest was pitch black. Then, he heard a voice. A whisper, gentle, almost melodic, floating between the trees. "This way." Soren froze. No one else should have been this deep in the woods. He shone his flashlight around. Nothing but trees and darkness. The voice came again, closer. "This way, follow." Soren stepped back. Then the voice changed, no longer calm, but hungry. "Follow me." Leaves rustled behind him. He spun around, shining his flashlight wildly, until it landed on something impossible. A figure, tall, skin pale like raw bone, its limbs too long, its eyes hollow black. The creature tilted its head and whispered in the exact same voice. "Follow me." Soren ran. Branches tore at his clothes, his skin, his face. He didn't look back, not even when he heard the creature's footsteps behind him. He eventually burst out of the forest and collapsed at the edge of a road. When rescue arrived, Soren refused to return for his gear. He warned others, "If you ever hear a voice in the forest, that isn't yours. Don't follow it. Don't answer it. Run." These stories may seem unbelievable, but each one came from a real person, someone who still refuses to walk alone at night. Because once you hear a whisper that isn't human, once you see a figure that shouldn't exist, your world changes forever. Tonight, when you turn off your lights, listen carefully. If you hear a whisper behind you, a voice calling your name, don't answer it. And whatever you do, don't turn around.